In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Claude Code Custom Commands using 3 practical examples. Just as a background, Claude Code has a lot of built-in commands. If you type slash, you can see them all. There's ones like slash context that are just going to show you some details about your current context usage, how much the system prompt takes up, how much the system tools and MCP tools take up. And we have built-in commands that clear the current context. So we are able to add to these commands and make shortcuts that allow us to type slash and one word to do some cool things. Now, the most important insight about custom commands is they're just stored prompts. They're just prompts that you write down in some file that you can then quickly reuse with the one word slash command. They have a few other features, like they can take arguments, so you could parameterize the stored prompt with different arguments, but it's important to remember it's just a stored prompt in a file. So let's start with the first example, which is my most useful custom command. When I'm coding, I often leave to-dos, commented out code, or test flags that would break things in production. Usually I rely on linters to catch stuff like this, but Claude is way more powerful and can catch a lot of stuff that a linter would never catch. So I created a slash commit command. It's a file called commit.md in my home/.claude/commands directory. This command tells Claude to review all my local changes and check for things like to-dos, commented out code, debugging flags, or anything that looks like temporary test code. If it finds any issues, it'll abort and tell me what needs fixing. Otherwise, it will commit the changes. Now, I mentioned custom commands can take arguments. In this case, I use the arguments flag to pass in a commit message. So I can type slash commit update landing page and it will use that message. But if I just type slash commit with no arguments, Claude will write an appropriate commit message based on the changes, which is pretty cool. The second example is simpler, a slash catchup command. As your context window fills up, you'll use slash clear to start fresh, but then you need to reload your work in progress code. So the catchup command just tells Claude to read all uncommitted changes back into the context. This one's borderline because it's only 8 words. You could just type it, but if you're clearing context frequently, it's a little faster and it ties nicely into my third example. The third example will involve MCP and specifically the GitHub MCP. MCP is how you connect external tools and data sets like GitHub, Notion, Jira, and that's where the surface area for customization really expands. So I imagine most of the most powerful custom commands will touch MCP. So now we're going to circle back to example number 2 because we're going to extend the catchup command. You can imagine that reading the current code working changes is important to reset the context, but there might also be external information in some sort of project management tool like GitHub issues. So I can go back to my catchup command and add find issue argument on repo, my repo name, and load its content into the context here. Now, of course, for this to work, you do have to add GitHub MCP to your Claude Code setup. I will link how to do that in the description. Fortunately, it's very straightforward and simple. It took me about a minute. After that, I just tested it by creating a fake issue that said the banana is purple. And then I ran the slash catchup command, and we can see the catchup summary. It read the GitHub issue, and I asked what color is the banana, and Claude Code told me the banana is purple. So now we've seen some examples of Claude Code custom commands, and we understand they're just stored prompts that can take arguments. We can figure out a guideline for when to use them is when we have a long prompt that we frequently use. If it's a short prompt, it might be simpler just to write that short prompt out, especially to keep our project simpler for new developers by avoiding too many custom commands. And if we don't do it very often, we might prefer to just see what we're typing out rather than remember what that long prompt is that we don't use very often. But as you can see, there are examples of long prompts that we frequently use, such as when we're committing code. Adding those sanity checks is something that I always want to do before I commit something I didn't mean to. And it's great that Claude Code can do that check before I make the commit. This video has a written version of it on my Substack newsletter, aiengineering.report. I also linked to some other resources to find more Claude Code custom command examples, especially on the awesome Claude Code GitHub repo. That in general is a great reference for a lot of examples of how to customize Claude Code to your use cases. Thanks for watching, and leave any feedback about these videos in the comments. Thanks.